He was the firstborn son of an Irish immigrant, a Michigan farm boy who absolutely despised chores. Instead, he preferred to tinker with things like watches, machines, steam engines. Today, we focus on the 4 secrets of successful reinvention from the museum that bears his name, the Henry Ford, here on the Reinvention Chronicles. Helping America transform from newborn nation into global manufacturing superpower, Henry Ford has not only left a legacy of incredible business accomplishments and wonderful machines, but also a legacy of ideas. The 4 secrets of successful reinvention here from the Henry Ford Museum in Detroit. Number 1, possible is anything. And it was certainly a belief of Henry Ford that whether you thought you could do something or thought you couldn't, you were right. And that mindset certainly applied to how he created the world's first assembly line at nearby Highland Park. The way Henry saw it, learning was the key to developing that attitude. And it didn't matter whether you were 20 or 80, the second you stopped learning, you were old. So the way Henry Ford saw it, success, failure began in the mind with that spirit of dream big, don't quit, because possible is anything. With the first ever vehicle built by the Ford Manufacturing Company, the 1903 Model A, the second secret of successful reinvention is know your market. Henry Ford really believed that he needed to know even before the customers knew what they wanted. In other words, if he had asked them what they really wanted, they would have asked for faster horses. So I really believe that Henry Ford, more than anyone, knew exactly the emotional drivers underneath customer purchase decisions. In fact, if he had been around today, I'm sure he would have been the first on Facebook or SurveyMonkey or just taking people out to coffee to find out what they really needed as opposed to what they just talked about. Number 3 on our list, service before self. Henry Ford firmly believed that wealth, much like happiness, could never be achieved directly. It was always a byproduct of providing a useful service. And Henry Ford was a noted philanthropist, so much so that he threw this dinner. It's a painting behind us that captures this dinner he threw October 21st of 1929 to celebrate Thomas Edison's 50th anniversary of the incandescent lamp, but I digress. No, Henry Ford valued service and appreciated service from others, but also took it upon himself. For example, in 1914, he doubled the wage of his assembly line workers when he realized that turnover was getting very high. So it was unprecedented. It was $5 an hour in 1914, unheard of. But what it did is it made his workers profitable enough so that they too could buy those Ford motor vehicles that were rolling off the assembly lines at Highland Park. Number 4, don't find fault, find remedies. Henry Ford was an absolute believer that way too much time was wasted moaning, whining, belly aching instead of just getting on with the problem. Classic example is here with my friend Ray at the Henry Ford Museum, where I found out just moments ago, they literally start with nothing in terms of rebuilding this 1917 Model T from scratch every day using museum visitors just like me. And I would think there would have been 1,000,001 problems to solve in the course of figuring out the system to rebuild this particular Model T. That being said, Henry Ford was absolutely convinced you can't climb the mountain any other way than one step at a time, and put another way, you eat the elephant one bite at a time. And a classic example is one at a time, we start to rebuild this particular Model T. You ready, Ray?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Okay, those two bolts come out. And here's a bonus, 4.1, seek advice. As Henry got on in years, he became a little more cranky, a little more crotchety, didn't really listen to anyone, didn't solicit outside help, perspective, or opinions. He was really hard on his one and only son, Edsel. Now, and as a human being, Henry Ford was far from perfect. He had many, many flaws, but later in life it became more and more pronounced as he closed himself off. Ford Motor Company dropped from first to third, and maybe that would have changed had he been more open and willing to listen to the views of others. So take what you need from this particular post on Henry Ford and the secrets to successful reinvention. I mean, certainly the lessons from Ford have clearly stood the test of time, but now I guess it's your turn. Which of these lessons, these 4 ideas, are most relevant to you? And are there other lessons from Henry Ford you want to share? Because we'd really like to see what you have to say in this reinvention community, because let's face it, stories that are not shared have no value. And hopefully this story about one of the great reinventors, Henry Ford, who used to sit around telling stories with his best friend Thomas Edison, has been most worthwhile for you to help you recreate and reimaginate the business, the life, the career that you deserve.